Gu Shijio was able to spot her at a glance. She had a noticeable smile on her face. Gu Shijio had saved this little girl's life. She was so envious that she did not even appreciate the kind gesture. When I said that in the Mount Wujie, it was just to piss you all off because of the nonsense that you accused me of. None of it was true. Gu Shijio explained lazily. Everyone obviously did not believe her. Someone asked, "Can this matter be discussed so freely? If you have no such ambiguous intentions for him, why did you transform into a little girl to stay by Nianmo's side? You even wanted to join the apprenticeship of spiritual master Yuhang just to be with him. When you reached Mount Wujie and found that Nianma was not there, you immediately refused to worship your master and left promptly. You have now even secretly sneaked into the Fengyun Valley. Evidently, you are here for Nianma. How do you explain all these facts?" As I said, I only want to help him to practice until he becomes a mighty immortal. I am here to accelerate his progress. Haha, do you mean to take him as your disciple? Why not? This was actually her plan in the first place. Nonsense. If an elder wants to accept him as a disciple, why would he or she put in so much effort? Obviously, you are trying to quibble since you are surrounded. Yes, you are right. She is trying to quibble. This woman's intentions will never be so simple. And her background is also very strange. She does not even dare to reveal her true appearance and always hides behind a mask. She must be hiding an ugly face. Is she a follower of the biggest enemy of the Divine Lord, Luo Jiuchen? Is she trying to catch Nianma to take revenge? It is possible. There were different opinions thrown around, and the entire situation grew more complicated. It sounded more and more like a conspiracy. These people were generally stubborn, so it would be hard to change their minds. Anyway, they were trying to find fault with her, so whatever she said would always be misinterpreted. Gu Shijio naturally understood this theory, so she did not want to explain herself. In the past few days, she had been hiding in anger. However, after listening to these people, she felt that the entire situation was overblown. Thus, she decided to resolve it once and for all. She flicked her nails and said lazily again, "It seems that no matter how I explain, you will think that I like Nianma, a young kid. Well, since you all have thought so, if I don't admit it, it would be a waste. I will announce it here. I will definitely want Nianma in the future. I will take him to my side as a young husband. I will let me be the king of my clan." This stone stirred up 1,000 waves. Her rebellious words had shocked everyone. There were curses and jeers from the crowd. There were numerous criticisms and condemnation towards Gu Shijio. When the muscle listened to them mocking its master, it almost went crazy. However, when Gu Shijio and Shen Yanma were in the tree palace, Lu Wu and the muscle were sending the children back home, and they were not by her side. Furthermore, when Gu Shijio said those angry words in Mount Wujie, the muscle and Lu Wu had not returned yet, and they did not know the real situation. Therefore, it did not dare to interrupt. Mears sat there red-faced. Its clamshell continued to open and close. It could not wait to swallow all these people in front of it so that they could not make any more noise here. When it heard these people claiming that Gu Shijio was ugly, it finally broke out, "Nonsense! You are all talking nonsense. My master is the most beautiful lady in the world. She is even more beautiful than all of you together. Do you think she is eager to marry? Let me tell you, people are queuing up to marry her. Open your blind eyes and look properly. Master, take off your mask and show them your true appearance. I'm sure they will be shocked." Certainly, nobody believed what the muscle just said, hence, it received a wave of mockery in return. Of course, there were those who supported it too. Si Qing had a very complicated feeling as he initially had a special feeling toward Ren Chongqing. However, she suddenly turned into a secretive masked character. In fact, he could not accept it, hence, he decided to hide in the crowd and watch the scene. However, while listening to all the curses, he could not hold back anymore. She is not ugly. She was gorgeous when she was Ren Chongqing. Without any surprise, he got mocked by the crowd. Do you think that is real? Everyone here is immortal, and we know how to disguise ourselves. Hence, it cannot prove anything. She should show her true appearance if she has the guts. Spiritual Lord Yunlong is an expert of disguises, and he can differentiate if it is genuine. Is she willing to reveal her true appearance? The arguments halted when the sound of 2 knocks was heard. It was not very loud, but it sufficed to catch their attention. Everyone quickly shifted their gaze to the direction of sound only to find that Gu Shijio was leaning against the muscle, and she was knocking on its shell with her knuckles. Do you really want to see my appearance, or you are afraid of me kidnapping the little boy? Do you really think it is meaningful to argue over this? The crowd went silent. Gu Shijio crossed her arms in front of her chest. Stop bullsh asterisk ting. Just by looking at your drama, I'm sure cursing me is not enough for you. Just tell me what you want and stop wasting my time. She started to blast the crowd, and her aura was so much stronger than the 10 clan masters. Apparently, she was running out of patience. Gu Shijio was the one and only person who could remain calm even when the 10 clan masters surrounded her. All their disciples were extremely angry, yet, they also respected her. The 10 clan masters tried to catch her with many different strategies. Even the Celestial Emperor, who was once the god of warriors, did not even dare to simply fight against the 10 clan masters as he used to pay very high respect to them. Yet, although 10 clan masters surrounded Gu Shijio, she did not bother to compromise. All 10 clan masters were stunned by her arrogance. However, they were not afraid of Gu Shijio since they were well prepared before they came. Thus, they proposed a few conditions. Their terms and conditions were extremely harsh. They wanted Gu Shijio to promise that she would never see Shen Yanma for the rest of her life. Otherwise, she would be arrested and imprisoned for a few hundred years, until Shen Yanma turned into an adult or until he becomes a mighty immortal or a great deity. Gu Shijio simply smiled. She hated to be threatened even as a child. What more when she was so experienced and powerful now? Oops. I cannot do that. I want him to be my husband. How could we not see each other for the rest of my life? I cannot promise you those terms. The crowd remained silent. In other words, the negotiation failed. Therefore, the 10 clan masters decided not to be courteous anymore. They moved to their respective locations and surrounded Gu Shijio once Master Fengxing signaled them. A battle was about to start. It seemed inevitable despite spiritual Master Yuhang trying to negotiate with Gu Shijio as a way to repay her kindness before. I don't think you are an evil person. You saved my disciples before, and I am grateful. Why do you need to be so stubborn? Listen to me. Stay away from Nianma. Gu Shijio interrupted him with a hiss. Oh yeah. I almost forgot about it. I was just being kind, but I did not expect to save an ungrateful person. I'm so upset now. Right after she said she was upset, she suddenly teleported. When the crowd managed to locate her, she was already beside Qing Luo. Qing Luo did not manage to see Gu Shijio clearly but only felt a sudden gust of wind blowing at her. Abruptly, she felt a sharp pain at her fingertip, as if she was bitten by something. She screamed and immediately pulled her hand away, only to find 2 tiny holes on her fingertip with pinkish blood dripping off her finger. Cherry blossom snake. She was bitten by a cherry blossom snake again. She felt pain in every part of her body to the extent she had cold sweat dripping from her forehead. Eventually, she felt numb and started rolling on the ground in agony. Everything happened too quickly. No one expected that the Grimace Lady could escape from the trap set by the 10 clan masters and even hurt someone. By the time they were ready to react, it was already too late. The 10 clan masters were trying to stop her from escaping. Most immortals had the habit of escaping by air. To their surprise, she teleported downward and succeeded. Spiritual Master Yuhang immediately leaped down to the ground. He quickly checked on Qing Luo and furiously glared at Gu Shijio. What did you do? Gu Shijio flicked her fingernails. I was the one who helped her to remove the venom, but I regret it now. So, I let the snake bite her again. I guess we do not owe each other now. I would not feel upset if she attacks me now. Spiritual Master Yuhang was speechless. The crowd also remained silent. Right at that moment, a red light flashed across the sky. A creature with 9 glowing red tails appeared in front of Gu Shijio. Its big watery eyes were adorable enough to seduce anyone there. Yes, it was Lu Wu. Report to Master. I've searched every single corner, but Shen Yanma is not in the valley. It was only then that the crowd realized that Gu Shijiao had got Lu Wu to search the place when she first arrived. The reason she was willing to talk so much to the people was just to wait for the news from Lu Wu. Since Shen Yanma was not there, she would leave empty-handed. She felt somewhat disappointed by the result because she allowed herself to be mocked by the crowd earlier. Gu Shijiao thought that her day was ruined. Her head tilted downward, and a sword immediately appeared in her hand. The sword was cold and sharp as if she was holding an ice sword. "You 10 old jerks, come on. Let me teach you a lesson today." Certainly, Gu Shijiao had spiced up the anger of the crowd. Therefore, a fierce battle had begun. The battle between Gu Shijiao and the 10 clan masters would be recorded in the scroll of history. It was named as the Book of Legendary Immortals. According to legend, the battle lasted for a day. The 10 clan masters used all of their knowledge and skills to catch the grimacing woman. However, they still did not manage to get her even though the entire Fengyun Valley had been destroyed. However, no party was completely dominant. Each of them suffered their losses. The mask of the grimaced woman was shattered during the battle, which exposed her true appearance. According to the record, the person was beautiful and had long black hair with gorgeous features. Many of the people were shocked and stopped fighting when they saw it. Gu Shijiao was injured in the battle. In fact, she was severely injured. She spat blood out of her mouth but still laughed creepily as she flipped her long hair. "Old jerks. I want Shen Yanma, and I'll definitely go after him. We will see how it ends." A mouthful of blood spilled on her sword. After chanting a series of spells, the sword was glowing brightly. She leaped up into the air and disappeared instantly as the sword scratched the wizardry barrier. Gu Shijiao was not a lunatic. She knew it was not a good idea to fight against so many experts and their disciples. Hence, she tried to teleport away from the battle. However, she was blocked by the wizardry barriers in every direction. While battling with so many of them, Gu Shijiao also tried to figure out an alternative plan of escape. Eventually, she figured out the key to her escape and successfully teleported away in the blink of an eye. "I'll return. I'll be back for what you owe me." Everyone was in stunned silence. The grimacing woman managed to escape from the great battle, while 2 of the 10 clan masters were severely injured, and 3 of them had some minor injuries. The rest had a few bruises on their face. Master Fengxing suffered the worst losses. He was not only injured but also lost his home. Furthermore, many of his disciples were hurt. The biggest disappointment was that they did not manage to catch her even after paying such a high price. They definitely had to expect chaos in the future since Gu Shijiao managed to escape. Most of them were amazed by her beauty. Hence, they were all discussing it while trying to tidy up the mess. Without any surprise, everyone naturally fixed their gaze on spiritual Lord Yunlong, as he had a pair of eyes which could identify the authenticity of all magic. It was not magic. Her appearance was real. That was enough to keep everyone quiet about her looks. In fact, thousands of people would be lining up to see her if she would take a stroll without her mask. Why does she have to hold on to Shen Yanma? Was it true love? Or did she truly need to complete her mission just like what she mentioned? Perhaps she was instructed by someone else, but she could not disclose the truth? However, since she had such mighty kung fu, she might not even want to entertain the divine couple. Who else could be the culprit? Countless questions were lingering in their minds. Since Qing Luo was bitten by the snake again, all the disciples of spiritual master Yu Hang decided to wrap her with a big bag as the poison was spreadable. Unfortunately, they could only get her soaked in ice water because no one could cure her. Since Gu Shijiao escaped, spiritual master Yu Hang quickly left. After Gu Shijiao left, spiritual master Yu Hang immediately visited Qing Luo. From afar, he could hear her screaming in pain. She screamed and shouted desperately, like an animal. He was a little embarrassed by her dramatic reactions, but he would not give up on his disciple so easily, so he decided to consult Master Fengxing, who was an expert in medicine, about the cure. Helplessly, Master Fengxing frowned at him. "I am afraid that there is no cure for this sort of poison." Spiritual Master Yu Hang was shocked to the core. Si Qing suggested, "There is. When both of us were unfortunately affected by the cherry blossom snake poison, it was Chongsheng, the mysterious grimace woman, who saved our lives." Master Fengxing frowned. He had heard about them being affected by a kind of poison and that they were fortunately cured, so he did not pay much attention to the details of the incident. He only thought of it as a normal type of poison. Little did he know that it was actually the cherry blossom snake poison. The main problem is the base of the cure. The cure must be made from the poison of the particular snake itself. The cherry blossom snake is a rare species, so it is difficult to be captured. The chances of survival after the hunt of the snake are very slim. Moreover, it is so rare to find. How are we supposed to collect the snake and make the cure? Once you are bitten, death is but a sure thing, he answered slowly. Spiritual Master Yu Hang's expression changed upon hearing his explanation. He took a look at Qing Luo, who was critically ill with a faint breath of life. Her breathing was slow and painful due to the immense pain. Suddenly he was lost, not knowing what to do for her. Si Qing was shocked too. He then took a small bottle out and said, "About this, it is a bottle of poison, given by our eldest senior disciple last time. I think there should be some remaining. I wonder if we can still use it." Master Fengxing immediately took the bottle from him and observed it closely. It is usable. The content is, however, too little. It is only enough to make half a portion of the cure, he swiftly concluded. Half was better than none, so Spiritual Master Yu Hang earnestly requested for him to make the cure as soon as possible. The urgency to rescue a life was similar to that of firefighting, where every second counted. Hence, Master Fengxing did not delay the rescue. He took the bottle and was ready to proceed. All of a sudden, there came an announcement. The eldest senior apprentice is back. Master Fengxing's expression changed a little. Just recently, they had been busy plotting against the mysterious woman. They kept the plan away from Xin Yanma, as they were worried that he might stop it. Therefore, Master Fengxing had to play a trick by falsely announcing the whereabouts of the young palace master so that he could send Xin Yanma away. In fact, he sent him away to the third heaven. The distance from his place to the third heaven was thousands of miles apart. Even with Xin Yanma's speed, he would only be able to make it back in at least a day. In the morning, Master Fengxing had even chatted with Xin Yanma about his situation and found out that he was still wandering in the third heaven while busy looking for the whereabouts of the young palace master. However, on the very same day, it seemed that Xin Yanma was back. Someone must have notified him, otherwise he would not make his way back so quickly. Spiritual Master Yu Hang looked at Si Qing with stern but suspicious eyes. "It was I told the eldest senior apprentice that the mysterious grimace woman was here," he nervously confessed. Spiritual Master Yu Hang was frustrated with Si Qing. He wished he could slap him for his ludicrous mistake. The battle was already over. There were many ruins left behind by the violent fight. Blood could be seen everywhere. It was not hard to imagine how difficult the battle must have been. Xin Yanmo's face turned pale. His fingers trembled in anxiety. Luckily, he found out that Gu Shijio was not vitally harmed from his junior apprentice's excessive discussions about the battle. She was only severely injured. He tried to calm himself down. With his directed audio spell, he decided to get in touch with her by making a call. The directed audio spell flickered continuously in his hand, but no one picked up. Anxiously, he continued to make many calls, but the result remained the same. The calls were unanswered. Was she unconscious due to the severity of her injuries? Did she lose the directed audio spell in the batter, or did she destroy it? Xin Yanma took a deep breath. Then, he pulled one of his junior apprentices aside and demanded a detailed description of the battle. "Tell me everything about the situation from the moment she arrived. The more details, the better." The junior was a quick-witted man with an unfailing memory. Every time he told a story, it was always very lively and vivid, beguiling his audience with many tales of adventure. He was an honest storyteller without many additional dramatic elements. He would retain the originality of his stories. He had the worst kung fu among the group, so he did not get much attention from his master. Moreover, Shin Yanmo's endless charm had completely sheltered him in the shadow. The eldest senior was always the center of attention wherever he went. Many juniors liked to surround themselves around him. Ever since Shin Yanmo came to the Fengyun Valley, the junior had only managed to greet him once. Surely he did not expect that Shin Yanmo would still remember him by calling out his name. He was obviously very excited. Enthusiastically, he told Shin Yanmo the entire scene from the moment Gu Shijio arrived at the battlefield. He even used his hands to make lively gestures. From his memory, he was able to recall every detail of the fight and every conversation that happened. It was as though everything was happening again. Shin Yanmo listened carefully without making any interruptions. Certainly, his junior felt a little awkward when he had to convey what Gu Shijio had originally said during the battle. Her words, after all, would come as an insult to a man. Moreover, Shin Yanmo was a proud man with high dignity. When Shin Yanmo heard what she had said, he did not show any unpleasant expressions. Instead, he gave the junior a smile. For sure, the junior could not figure out how he truly felt. Men were obviously more interested in fights, so when his junior talked about the fight scenes, he sputtered on with very lively gestures. Every punch and every kick from different sides were described entirely from his point of view, giving Shin Yanmo a very clear picture of how the battle was like. While Shin Yanmo was busy listening to his junior's description, he would still try to activate the directed audio spell in his hand. Obviously, he was eager to get in touch with someone. Unfortunately, he received no response. The junior was bewildered by the lack of response, for he could not figure out who would dare to disrespect the eldest senior. When Master Fengxing approached them, the junior was already ending the story by quoting what Gu Shijio said at the end. "I will be back to make you all pay the price." The junior's tone sounded exactly like her. When he turned around, he was shocked to see his master standing behind him. Master Fengxing looked very unpleasant. His deeply knitted brows had created deep creases on his face. The junior retreated anxiously and greeted him before leaving swiftly. Master Fengxing turned his eyes to Shin Yanmo to study him. At this moment, Shin Yanmo was lying on the trunk of a tree. He neither greeted nor said a word when he saw Master Fengxing approaching. Instead, he only gave him a scornful smile. The sheer force of character from the child of 6 years old was very dominating, powerful enough even for Master Fengxing to notice his imposing manner. Moreover, he was guilty of lying to the young man. "Yanmo, why did you come back so early? Don't you think that you have kept me away in the dark long enough?" Shin Yanmo said firmly, with a smirk on his face. He did not even acknowledge him as his master this time. "Yanmo, I had to, it was against my will. Your parents have entrusted your safety to us." The mysterious woman bore no good intentions. "I had to send you away, so she would not have the chance to kidnap you," Master Fengxing remonstrated kindly. Shin Yanmo could not hold back his amusement. "Why did you have to make it sound so pompous? You invited all the other masters to launch an ambush together. How awesome was that? She came alone and walked single-handedly into the battle. Even if I were present in the Fengyun Valley, how would she possibly kidnap me? Were you not confident of your ambush, or in me?" Master Fengxing remained quiet. He was indeed not confident enough in Shin Yanmo, for he was worried that he would be charmed by Gu Shijio and walk away with her willingly. "Yanmo." Master Fengxing struggled to find his words and was interrupted before he could continue. "Master, please help me to invite all my masters. I have something to say." He hesitated, but still did as told and sent his men to invite the masters. Out of the 9 masters, 2 were severely injured, but Master Fengxing had treated their injuries. Walking around would not come as a significant problem at this moment. The Fengyun Valley was very much destroyed. Almost all the buildings there were ruined. Therefore, all of them decided to gather around at the plaza. Only 3 out of all 10 masters had personally met Shin Yanmo, so it was the first time for them to see his face. When Master Fengxing introduced him to the masters, they were utterly surprised that he looked like an adult. One of them had even called out his nickname, Mr. Fu. The master had an encounter with Shin Yanmo before, during an exploration. They spent about half an hour together, But Shen Nianma never revealed his real identity and announced his name as Mr. Fui instead. After the encounter, the master was planning to befriend him. Little did he know that Mr. Fui would become his future disciple, Shen Nianma. At present, that master had mixed feelings about the situation. Nianma, all your masters are now present. What would you like to say? You may now speak, Master Fengxing finally said. All eyes were on Shen Nianma. His eyes swept across all his masters and commented, I would like to express my gratitude for your tireless effort. Having said that, he bowed before them. The 10 masters stared at each other in dismay, obviously at a loss for words. Spiritual Master Yuhang had been guiding him for the past 3 years, so he spoke up, Nianma, you should address us as your masters. Shen Nianma looked at him fixedly and commented with a half-smile, chill. This is also the thing that I am about to bring up today. Utterly surprised, Spiritual Master Yuhang could sense that something was not right. Nianma, what are you trying to do? All of us are your father's friends. We are also your masters, assigned by your father himself, Master Fengxing continued. Shen Nianma raised his hand and said nonchalantly, My elders, please listen to me. The crowd went silent. Shen Nianma continued, Have you all accepted me as your disciple because of my parents and my name? The crowd said nothing. They were willing to break their rules by sharing their disciple with other masters because of his unique identity, the son of the celestial and demon beings. Having Shen Nianma as a disciple was definitely an honor, for he was endowed with intelligence and wit. Nianma, it is not only because of your parents. We know that you are unusually intelligent, a gifted talent who learns quickly, Spiritual Master Yuhang explained. Are you treating me as a child? About that, Nianma, you are only 6 years old, Spiritual Master Yuhang continued. Do I look like a 6-year-old? Shen Nianma asked smilingly with his head tilted to the side, waiting for an answer. About that, Shen Nianma continued coldly, my father turned into an adult at the age of 1 and started traveling the world. When he became the Divine Lord, did you treat him like a 1-year-old? Unable to find the words, Spiritual Master Yuhang did not answer. He had briefly heard about the story of the Divine Lord, but he did not know how old he actually was when he started traveling around the world, for he never mentioned his age. Surely, without the knowledge of his actual age, no one would treat the Divine Lord like a child when he possessed the look of a grown-up. Shen Nianma was very capable. He started building up his fame at the age of 3. The continent was well aware of his presence. Even though many people had heard about him as Mr. Fui. Spiritual Master Yuhang watched as the child grew up, so he would always see Shen Nianma as a child. All of you have treated me differently because I am Shen Nianma. You have disregarded how I really am and treated me like a mere child by making every decision on my behalf. But I am who I am. I have my own ways and principles. Also, I certainly do not want to be interrupted by anyone of any means, including the lies that you make to keep me in the dark because of your personal intentions. From now on, I am Di Fui, not Shen Nianma. The disciple that you want to keep is Shen Nianma, so it has nothing to do with me anymore. Therefore, I no longer wish to visit and accept your teachings. By the way, what I have with the mysterious woman is between us. Do not get yourself concerned. It is none of your business. All of them were utterly shocked. Spiritual Master Yuhang started to panic. Call me Di Fui. Shen Nianma gave him an icy look. That is only your nickname, not your real identity. You are the son of the Divine Lord. How can you change your surname? It is considered as sacrilege. My father does not even bother about it. Why should you interfere? You cannot do so. I am sure the Divine Lord will never approve of it. Spiritual Master Yuhang tried to persuade him. Di Fui continued scornfully, approving or disapproving. It is a matter between us, father and son, so it certainly has nothing to do with you. All right, that is all that I wanted to say. Take care. He turned and left. Nianma. 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 They tried to call him back, but he never looked back. Master Fengxing could not help but loudly demand, Fui, you are doing so because you are indignant at the siege that we have plotted against the mysterious woman, aren't you? Without even looking back, Di Fui stopped and answered sternly, about the siege of 10 masters against a woman, is it really something to be proud of? The masters remained quiet. They would never work together for an ambush, but today was an exception. Fui, you do not know about the origin of the woman. I am sure she harbors evil intentions. Also, she bears extraordinary kung fu, almost as good as your parents. When a woman like her tries to get her hands on a child, we cannot sit and wait for it to happen. We do not want anything to happen to you. We had to do what we did, Spiritual Master Yu Hang explained. Fui, the woman is truly mysterious. What if she is the descendant of Luo Jiuchen? She is not. Di Fui interrupted. Hesitantly, Master Fengxing continued, Fui, you may know one's appearance, but you may never know one's intentions. You are too young to understand that one's heart is incomprehensible. We have to protect you against the woman. She has a dubious background and excellent kung fu. Do you really fancy her? Di Fui surprisingly turned around and gave him a tight smile. What if I really do fancy her? Both Master Fengxing and Spiritual Master Yu Hang panicked. No, no way. You are not good together. Did the child really fall for the old woman? Although the old woman was exceptionally beautiful, their age gap was too large to be ignored. Nianma was only 6. Good or not, we shall decide it on our own. It is not up to you to decide. She will never be true to you. She must have evil motives. Di Fui responded with a smile and said something even more surprising. Even if she really has evil motives, I insist that I must marry her and make her my wife. Di Fui gave no further attention to the people, who stood frozen, not knowing what to do. He summoned his ride and left. He had to go looking for Gu Shijio, the woman who once said that she would kidnap him and make him her husband. He was desperate for them to get married right away. He was young, there was no rush. Additionally, she was old enough, so the marriage could wait for a few more years. When he traveled the world as Mr. Fui, he had made many friends from many different regions and industries who had different capabilities. Some of them were excellent at finding people. When he found out that Gu Shijio was severely injured and could not reach her, he quickly made contacts with a few of these people, so they could help search for her. With her injuries, she would not make it very far. She was probably hiding somewhere odd to treat her wounds. He believed that he would find her in no time. To his dismay, he received no news about her even after 3 days. All his friends had searched every corner in the Fengyun Valley, covering the area as wide as they could. They only managed to find a small piece of cloth and a pool of dried-out blood on the floor in one of the caves in the snowy mountain. She was nowhere to be seen. On the mountaintop, Di Fui held the piece of cloth tightly in his hand. He studied the blood and realized that it must have been spat, instead of dripped. He could also tell based on the clues left behind that she had been lying down on one side. He could tell that her injuries were severe, as she could hardly sit. Obviously, she once took a rest here. The signs were left behind just 3 days ago, and based on their observations, she must have stayed for less than an hour before she left. Why was she in a rush to leave, even with the severity of her injuries? What happened? Di Fui was unable to contain his curiosity that burned like a raging wildfire. He pinched his lips into a tight line and started searching for more clues. There is nothing else, brother. We have searched the entire place. His friend told him. Di Fui said nothing more and continued his search in the cave. Later, he extended his search outside the cave. Suddenly, an idea came to him. He took out the directed audio spell and tried to contact her once more. His eyes swept across the area and found something. He leaped and dug up the snow. His fingers froze at sight. There it was, a dark red directed audio spell, covered in the snow. It was the directed audio spell that she used to keep in touch with him. He did not know that she had left it behind in the snow. No wonder that he could not reach her. The directed audio spell used to be in a pale color, but it was covered in too much blood now. Even the snow had been stained. Did she leave it behind because it was too filthy? Fui, We have checked all the rides and carriages that have passed through the sky above the Fengyun Valley for the past 3 days. None of them was the one that you are looking for. Another report came. She was so severely injured. If she wanted to leave, she would have to take a ride or a carriage, but her whereabouts were unnoticed. How did she leave the place, then? Brother Fui, would anything happen to her while she was here alone? A man voiced his concern. The place was rather deserted. Many beasts surrounded the mountains. If they came spotting the sign of her blood, she would not be able to defend herself. She could have ended up being a meal. No way. Di Fui interrupted. He had spent some time with her to know very well about her temperament and her agility. In times of danger, the woman was good at forcing her way out. She could always come out with many surprising ideas. With her extraordinary capabilities, she would not possibly end up being a meal of some random beasts. The real question was where she went. Di Fui clenched his fists in frustration. This woman had sent him into difficult situations many times. She only treated him as a target of her mission, but on the contrary, she started the rumors herself and ruined his innocence by spreading the false news publicly. His close friends who knew him as Shen Yinma started to joke around by calling him her little husband. They even proceeded to ask how he felt about it. He did not feel anything particular about it. However, he was confident about one thing. Since she had made the announcement so publicly, he should turn the rumors into a reality. She had to learn her lesson that words had power. If she said something irresponsible, she had to be responsible for the consequences. The directed audio spell at his waist lighted up all of a sudden. Di Fui picked it up and heard the news from the other end. Brother Fui, there was a carriage that entered the residence of Long Sai, who is known as General Biao Qi, a few days ago. His place has been enforced with restricted entries ever since. Di Fui heaved a sigh of relief. He had placed some men at different places where Gu Zijia's friends lived. They were requested to report at once if there was any news at all. Gu Shijio was indeed severely injured, mostly internally. Some of her organs were greatly affected. She tried very hard to hide her pain in front of her opponents. However, after a few rounds of teleportation, she started to suffer from blackouts and was too weak to tell which direction to go. She could only try to stray as far away from the Fengyun Valley as she possibly could and ended up on the mountains. Once there, she could barely hold herself together and spat a few mouthfuls of blood. She wanted to get in touch with Long Sai and ask for his help, but she did not have the strength to retrieve the directed audio spell. Unsteadily, she stumbled and staggered at length into the cave. She wanted to meditate, but could not even sit up straight. She had to lay herself down on the floor to catch her breaths. The Muscle and Lu Wu were very worried about her condition, but none of them had any medical knowledge to offer their help. In the mountains, the beasts roared and billowed, but they could not get any closer, for the Muscle and Lu Wu were constantly guarding the place. Gu Shijio planned to stay for a while to meditate until her condition become better, and at least to regain her strength. However, the severity of her injuries was beyond her expectation. After half an hour of rest, she still could not find the strength even to sit up. She tried to swallow some medicines that were made for fast recovery. She thought she could at least sit up when the medication took effect, but none of them worked. Chapter 1998. Gu Shijio could feel her heart pounding in her chest, but she could not suppress it. She knew she must not delay her treatment any longer. She had to find someone she could trust to help her with her recovery, otherwise, she would lose her life in the wilderness. She thought about Long Sai and wanted to get in touch with him for his help, but she could not find the directed audio spell in her storage bag. She must have lost it during the violent fight. It probably slipped from her bag when she took her weapons out. Therefore, she could only approach him, personally. Lu Wu offered its help. "Master, I will carry you there." The Muscle disagreed. "Silly, our master can barely hold herself together. I should take her in my shell and you can carry us both." "It is you who wishes to get a free ride, right? Why do you have to make it sound like master needs it?" Lu Wu disdained the idea. Weakly, Gu Shijio tried to stop them from arguing. "We cannot go by air. There will surely be interceptions. Muscle, please carry me away via ground drilling." All the masters had suffered a significant loss in the Feng Yun Valley. Certainly, they would send out their men to hunt her down. Therefore, ground drilling was the only way out. However, there was a long way to go. With ground drilling, they could only make it to Long Sai's place after 5 or 6 days. Her treatment could not be delayed for that long. Therefore, Gu Shijio proposed another idea. The muscle would carry her to the 7th heaven. From there, Lu Wu would camouflage into the appearance of a horse and carry her all the way. The muscle's ground drilling had reached a high degree of technical proficiency. It could dig its way down without leaving any signs behind. With their level of kung fu, the muscle and Lu Wu would not leave any traces behind unless they did it on purpose, which explained why Di Fui failed to find anything. Long Sai had been very busy for the past few years. He used to be the leader of a clan. Even with his memory erased, his instincts remained, so his people's skills came in handy. Not only did his kung fu increase tremendously, but he was also promoted to an even higher social rank as well. He was already a general now, the right-hand man of the Emperor Immortal. As a general, he surely had many men, so he could always receive the latest news. He had undoubtedly heard the news about Gu Shijio in the Feng Yun Valley and Mount Wujie. He knew that Gu Shijio successfully escaped, but was injured and that her whereabouts were unknown. He was concerned with her well-being, so he tried to call her many times via his directed audio spell, but she never picked up. He had also sent many secret agents to find her. However, 3 days went by, but no news came by. The skies were already dark. He was circling his room restlessly like ants on a hot pan when all of a sudden, a black carriage landed in his backyard. The carriage looked somewhat odd, and not just because it was entirely black. Even the horse pulling the carriage was black. Many guards were protecting the area of his residence. The sudden emergence of a black carriage would certainly catch their attention. Therefore, they surrounded the carriage and started to interrogate. They could not hear any sound from the carriage. It was in complete silence. Instead, the magical horse started communicating, "I hereby request to see General Long. An old acquaintance of his is here to visit." The guards had seen many magical horses before, but they had never met such an arrogant one. The leader of the guards stood in its way to stop it from getting another step closer to the hall. Meanwhile, he sent his men to tell Long Sai of the incident. Long Sai went to check the situation as soon as he heard about it. Upon seeing the carriage, he was a little confused, for he could not recall whose carriage it was. The magical horse seemed to be relieved to see him. Before he could ask, the horse started asking him for a favor. "General Long, please send your men away." Long Sai was astonished. His men, however, refused to back down. "General, I am concerned that the intruder bears no good intention." Long Sai dismissed his concern swiftly. "There is nothing to be worried about. I have a grasp of the situation. You may leave now. Spread no word about what happened tonight. If anything goes out, you are responsible for it." The leader of the guards was puzzled, but he could never go against the general's command. He took the order and left with the rest of his men. Long Sai turned his attention to the carriage and asked gently, "Shijio, is that you?" The carriage answered, "Overlord Long, you are a smart man." Then Long Sai watched as the carriage changed its camouflage and turned into a muscle of pale pink color. The muscle, with the look of an adorable child, fixed its hopeful eyes on Long Sai, as though a lost child who had just found a policeman. "Overlord Long, please help my master. She needs you." It then opened its shells, exposing Gu Shijio. There she lay, looking as pale as a white paper. Her breathing was weak, and one could easily tell the severity of her injuries. She forced a smile when she saw Long Sai. "Instructor Long. Save me." Long Sai started to tremble in immense anxiety. After all stresses and strains, he finally put Gu Shijio in his private room. Long Sai had checked her pulse and noticed that many of her organs were not functioning well. Her injuries could not simply be undone. If the same injuries happened to a normal celestial being, he or she would be long gone. Gu Zijia's strength and advanced spiritual power had kept her alive until now. Moreover, She had also taken some pills to help her survive, which was why she was still conscious after 3 days without any help. Her face, however, was ashen. After examining the severity of her injuries, Long Sai was even more worried. The golden splitting spell caused the injuries that she suffered from. It was a potent spell that could cause maximum harm to its target. The golden splitting spell was an exclusive technique from spiritual master Shanjing. Once hit, the spell would cause the victim's organs to become liquefied and melt away into a pool of blood. It was strong enough to cause severe injuries even to Gu Shijio, who had always been strong and tough. Spiritual Master Shanjing was really a hermit, who had always been hiding away in solitude. It came as a surprise to Long Sai that he was also one of the members of the siege. The spell required an exclusive cure, which could only be made by Spiritual Master Shanjing. Otherwise, the affected organs would never be able to recover. On the contrary, they would become even worse as time went by. Gu Shijio knew that her injuries were one of a kind. She saw Long Sai's nervous expression, which basically confirmed her assumption. Can my injuries be cured by the Triumphant Recovery spell? The Triumphant Recovery spell was a special recovery spell that could heal any internal or external injuries. Gu Shijio was the one who taught Long Sai about the spell, so she knew that he could help her. The spell would require both of them to work together, which was why Gu Shijio was in such a hurry to see Long Sai. Long Sai seemed quite unsure about the idea. He began to speak, then hesitated. Gu Shijio continued, "No worries, tell me how bad it is." Long Sai knew he could not hide the truth from her, so he told her about the severity of the golden splitting spell. Gu Shijio had not met many people from the upper bound, so she certainly did not expect that the spell would be so harmful when Spiritual Master Shanjing attacked her. Even Long Sai was aggrieved at the violence. I have heard about Spiritual Master Shanjing. It was said that he is a man of great generosity and charity. I had even thought about befriending him when the opportunity came. To my dismay, he is actually a hypocrite. How could he act so violently towards a woman like you? Gu Shijio heaved a sigh. Oh, I see. The tall man is actually Spiritual Master Shanjing. Actually, he suffered from severe injuries too. Spiritual Master Shanjing was a really tall, broad-shouldered man that served as a huge contrast next to Gu Shijio. During the fight, Gu Shijio wanted to hit him at his leg with resentful kicks, but she missed and hit his private part instead. His facial expression changed abruptly. He could not help but call her a monstrous girl. Cold sweats broke out when he quickly retreated. Then he hit and injured her with the spell. The rest of her injuries were not complicated to heal. The only thing that left Long Sai helpless was the golden splitting spell. He took out all of his finest medicines to let her try them, but she refused. Instructor Long, your medicine is not as good as mine. The medicines will not work. We should try the Triumphant Recovery spell first. Long Sai clenched his fists in indignation. I will go and ask for the cure from the old man, Shanjing. Gu Shijio shook her head in disapproval and said, he will not give it to you. They are hunting me as well. Gu Shijio knew how bad the kick was. If she were not mistaken, Spiritual Master Shanjing would experience erectile dysfunction for the next few centuries. Spiritual Master Shanjing must be very desperate to torture her to the core. Why would he even offer the cure? Furthermore, if Long Sai really went to ask for the cure from him, her hiding place would be exposed. They would definitely find her in his residence. These people wanted to lock her up in their cage. She certainly would not let their wish come true. Long Sai could not think of any other ways. His medical knowledge came from the books given by Gu Shijio, so what he knew surely would not be any better than what Gu Shijio knew. Without a choice, he could only do as told. The effect of the Triumphant Recovery spell was really strong. However, it would require both the healer and the patient to sit in two separate wooden tubs. The tubs would be filled with liquid medicine and aligned next to each other. They would connect their palms and channel their power individually. Furthermore, both of them had to be naked in order to perform the spell. If she had a choice, she would not put Long Sai into the embarrassing situation to perform the treatment for her. Long Sai did not want to delay the treatment anymore. He quickly ordered his men to prepare the herbs. The preparation was rather troublesome. The process alone took 3 hours. In order to prevent any possible mistakes, he had to examine the ingredients personally to make sure they were the finest. When everything was thoroughly prepared, it was already midnight. A big wooden tub was carried into the private room. It was filled with translucent blue bubbles. The herbs tossed and turned in the tub, following the flow of the bubbles. Long Sai was a gentleman. He knew that Gu Shijio could hardly move, so he sent 2 female servants to the room to help her undress. Then, he planned to enter another room where the other wooden tub was placed. After he soaked himself in the water, 2 female servants would come and carry the tub away to place him in her room. The tubs would be put next to each other. He had thought things through. There should not be any error. However, to his surprise, an unexpected guest arrived. Just before he started to undress, a servant came reporting, "General Long, Mr. Fui is here to visit." Long Sai's fingers froze as he heard the news. Long Sai had certainly heard about Mr. Fui and even thought about befriending him as well, but what he did not know was that Mr. Fui was actually Shinyama. It was the middle of the night. What was the man doing here? Normally, Long Sai would meet and welcome his guests as soon as he could, especially if someone honorable came to visit. However, he could not leave Gu Shijio alone at this critical moment. She needed him to keep her alive. He gave an order to the servant, "Tell him that I am occupied at the moment and ask him to come back 3 days later." The servant acknowledged and swiftly left, but he returned a few moments later and reported, "General, he said he has something urgent. He needs to see you now." Long Sai was obviously annoyed. "I am not seeing him. Go away." He would not even meet the Celestial Emperor even if he were here now. The servant was shocked and left. This was the first time for the servant to experience such great frustration from his master. He turned around and almost bumped into another man. He took a few steps back and acknowledged, "Mr. Fui." Mr. Fui only gave him a soft smile and patted on his shoulder. "You may leave," he reassured. Therefore, the servant left with a clueless look. Long Sai noticed the chaos outside and was irritated. Soon, the doors were slammed open. A man dressed in a purple robe entered with heavy steps. "Why did General Long keep me at a distance? What if there were urgent military situations that require your immediate attention?" The pearls in the private room shone brightly, bright enough for Long Sai to see his face clearly. It was their first encounter, but he felt a strange sense of familiarity when he saw Mr. Fui. What surprised him more was that he felt a sense of precaution and hostility towards a man he had never met. He could tell that Mr. Fui's kung fu was extraordinary. He was at least at the level of a golden immortal. He retained a strong aura in the room. Long Sai could not help but feel a little intimidated. "Mr. Fui, why are you here in the depth of the night? I have an important matter to attend to, so I really do not have time to entertain you," Long Sai explained calmly. He was concerned that the man's spiritual power was much stronger than his. Otherwise, he would have kept the man out of his residence by force. "Are you eager to attend to someone else's treatment?" Caught by the surprising question, Long Sai stood frozen. He could not figure out Mr. Fui's purpose of visit or his identity. He would not tell him about Gu Zijia's injuries until he had a better idea. What if Mr. Fui was actually one of the opponents who hunted for her? What if he was with the group of the 10 masters? Gu Shijio was right in the room, separated only by a door panel. The intruding guest would find out about her whereabouts very easily. Long Sai took a deep breath, then offered, "Shall we talk about this outside?" He had to get the man away from the room. The wooden tub caught Di Fui's attention. "General Long seems to be in a good mood for a midnight herbal bath. Is that true?" "This is how I like to meditate. Please excuse me. This is not the place for a proper talk. Let us go outside," Long Sai offered again, while intentionally blocking the entrance. "There is no need for that. I am here to look for someone." Di Fui tried to look behind the closed doors that were blocked behind Long Sai. There seemed to be some movements in the room. Was General Long going to have his bath together with a woman? It did not seem so. As far as he was concerned, Long Sai was a very disciplined man. He did not have a wife nor a concubine. He did not get close to his personal female servants as well. Who would the woman be? Long Sai sensed that something was not right and quickly changed the topic. Are you looking for? I do not have many people in my residence. Follow me, and I shall call them out to let you see their faces one by one. That is unnecessary. She should be here. With a flash, Long Sai could barely see as Di Fui passed by him quickly. The next thing he knew was that the door was slammed open. Everything in the room could be viewed. Long Sai was facing the outside, so he did not see what was going on in the room. Di Fui was already behind him facing directly inside the room, so he had a clear view. Long Sai wanted to turn around and see what was really happening, but Di Fui obviously disapproved. He then moved very quickly behind him and gave him a strong push. Di Fui was too quick. Though Long Sai was generally known for his inexhaustible agility, he was nothing compared to Di Fui. He stumbled across the corridor as a result of the momentum of Di Fui's push, and almost hit a pillar head-on. Even with the virtue of patience, Long Sai could no longer hold his frustration. Bang! He heard a loud noise and turned quickly around, only to notice that Di Fui forcefully shut the doors again. Di Fui stood, blocking the doors. There were some doubts in his eyes. What are you planning to do, Overlord Long? Di Fui then saw that Gu Shijio had been completely undressed, lying naked on the bed. The visual impact was too much for the young adult. Di Fui did not fix his eyes on her for long. Immediately, he looked away and shut the doors to prevent Long Sai from seeing her naked. Di Fui was still an innocent and unsophisticated young man. He knew about these things, but seeing the naked body of a woman was really something else. The visual impact was intense. His heart throbbed in response. Even with a quick glance, he clearly saw how bad Gu Zijia's complexion looked. She was severely injured but still remained conscious. She wanted to pull the blanket across to keep her body covered. However, her strength certainly did not match her intention. Their eyes met for a brief moment. There was another wooden tub in the room, braving the air bubbles. It looked just the same as the wooden tub outside. The liquid medicine in the tubs was the same, too, both dark green in color. Di Fui had privately carried out a thorough investigation about Long Sai, so he knew that he was not an evil man. Long Sai certainly did not prepare the tubs for a bath, knowing how severe Gu Zijia's condition was. It must be a way to treat Gu Zijia's wounds. Di Fui was smart enough to work out the entire scheme of the treatment process, but he did not feel comfortable about it. He had always thought silently to himself that he would make Gu Shijio his wife someday. He was, however, still an innocent virgin. Seeing her naked body for the first time had certainly shocked him to his core. He felt enraged at the thought of Long Sai seeing the same view he did. On the other hand, Long Sai was deeply upset that Mr. Fui was looking at Gu Shijio naked. He could safely assume that Gu Shijio was already naked on the bed. Even as Gu Zijia's closest friend, he had never seen her naked before. He used to have the initiative to befriend Mr. Fui. At the very moment, the idea was tossed away. His only wish now was to get rid of the man. You have intruded my residence and forcefully opened the door to my private room. Do you really think you have the right to ask me what I am about to do? Long Sai clenched his fists. He was ready to fight Di Fui if necessary. However, Di Fui gave him a surprising announcement. I am her fiancé. The sole purpose of my visit is to find her. Long Sai stood in disbelief. Nonsense. We have known each other for many years, and I have never heard about her fiancé. Di Fui gave him a profound look. He knew that they had known each other for a very long time. When he was still a baby, he saw them before, enjoying the view of lanterns together. He heaved a sigh to dismiss the sudden realization. Gu Zijia's injuries required immediate attention. I am Xin Yanma. Di Fui decided to enlighten him with another shocking announcement. She has publicly declared that I am her fiancé and we will soon be married, he said confidently. Long Sai did not know what to say. He was speechless. He had heard about the rumors but never actually cared. He liked Gu Shijio, so he would pay attention to the men or even friends around her. He would take precaution against the previous prince, Yun Yanli, but certainly not Shenyanma, who would pay attention to a child of 6 years old. Therefore, he disposed of the rumors with a sneer, for he knew that Gu Shijio was not serious about it. She only said it to trigger the people. However, upon seeing the handsome man, whose face was intricate and beautiful, Long Sai could not look at him in the same way anymore. Aren't you Mr. Fui? How can you be the prince, Shenyanma? Long Sai could not process what we heard. When Di Fui traveled the world, he preferred to keep his parents' identity concealed. He did not want others to find out who he truly was, so he had to use a nickname. He wanted to conquer the world with his own 2 hands, so he would not expose his identity in public. However, his identity was not important anymore. He did not want to argue with Long Sai any further about who he was and where he came from. Instantly, he revealed the bracelet. The glass dragon bracelet shone brightly under the luminescence of the pearl in Long Sai's residence. Mr. Fui is the name I use to travel the world. Long Sai felt an impulse to back off. During Shin Nianmo's birthday, he was there as a guard. He was not entitled enough to enter the hall, but he had certainly heard about the bracelet that was given to the little prince, a bracelet that he was unable to take off ever since. There were great artists at the birthday party, so they immediately put the view of the bracelet down on paper. Long Sai had seen the drawing before. It looked just the same as the one Di Fui currently wore. He really was Shenyanma. Long Sai did not know what to feel. He did not know enough about what happened between Gu Shijio and Shenyanma, but he was sure about one thing: her words were only said in a fit of rage. She did not mean any of it. Long Sai took a deep breath before clarifying, "It is a misunderstanding. What Shijio has for you is only friendship, not love." She probably said so because of the rage triggered by your fellow masters. She did not mean any of the things she said, so you should not be concerned. If there were any inconveniences caused, we shall explain the situation to your masters when she gets better. Di Fui looked at him fixedly. We will figure it out between us, so there is no need for you to be concerned. About her injuries, there is no time to delay. Are you sure that you want this conversation right now? Long Sai was anxious too. I was about to carry out the treatment for her. Had you not interrupted, we would have already started. Di Fui was curious about the 2 wooden tubs. How are you going to carry out the treatment? What is up with the 2 tubs? Long Sai frowned. He would not usually make any explanations to anyone about what he did. He certainly would not feel like explaining himself to a man who claimed to be Gu Zijia's fiancé. Di Fui insisted on getting to the bottom of the matter. If Long Sai refused to explain, he would certainly not let him carry out the treatment for Gu Shijio. Also, Long Sai could not kick the young man out of his house, for he was more powerful than him, both in terms of physical strength and social rank. Without a choice, Long Sai had to tell him. Long Sai started by telling him the general issues of Gu Zijia's injuries, including the proposition that she made about the treatment. Di Fui did not interrupt Long Sai. Once finished, he gave him 2 options. The first option was a fight. Whoever won would be the one carrying out the treatment for Gu Shijio. The second option was a voluntary withdrawal. Long Sai would stand away and guard the doors while Di Fui carried out the treatment for Gu Shijio. Once it was done, he would then visit spiritual master Shanjing to ask for the cure for her complete recovery. Long Sai was outraged. Either way, Di Fui would end up being the one carrying out the treatment. He tried to reason with Di Fui. Your Highness, the steps of the treatment are extremely complicated. I cannot explain everything briefly in plain words. Her injuries are too severe to allow any mistakes. If you really want the best for her, let's not have this argument at this critical moment. He was sincere to resolve the complication, but Di Fui remained unshakable in his determination. Don't worry. You only have to tell me the correct steps, and I shall be sure that nothing will go wrong. Your Highness, I have decided. Long Sai did not know what to do. He took a few breaths while finding the right words to say. I believe that you really like her. Why are you risking her life? Di Fui hugged his arms and said nothing more. He continued to glance at Long Sai coldly. Apparently he would not back off. Long Sai continued scornfully, "It seems to me that you do not really appreciate her after all." Di Fui looked away and answered coldly, "You have mistaken. I never said that I like her. However, if she has claimed to be my fiancée, I will be sure to take care of her innocence. I will not allow another man to see her naked body." Long Sai was speechless. Frustrated, he had to set the matter straight. "She will explain the situation to you later. I will wait for her explanation, but before that, I am the one who treats her injuries." Long Sai could not say anything more. There was no time to lose. He had to agree to let Di Fui carry out the treatment on his behalf. However, he did have one condition. Zygius' injuries cannot be delayed any longer. You have to learn the steps in half an hour. If not, I will do it myself. I cannot watch as she dies. All right. Di Fui agreed swiftly. The treatment required the use of spiritual power, so the steps were very complicated. He had to master the use of spells and the level of strength of his spiritual power. Long Sai knew about the treatment from the medical books given by Gu Shijio. He took approximately 10 days to get a grasp of the concept and a month to understand it fully. However, he had never executed it. When Long Sai explained to Di Fui, he purposely talked and acted swiftly. He wanted to make Di Fui realize the difficulties that lied in these complicated steps so that he would withdraw from it. After his explanation, Di Fui began to demonstrate. All his steps were correct, seemingly smoother. Long Sai could not help but think that he must have learned these steps before. However, if he had, an arrogant man like him would not have wasted time listening to Long Sai's explanation. Therefore, he must be scarily smart. Long Sai did not know what to feel. After the demonstration, Di Fui asked, "How was it?" Di Fui's black hair was nicely tied and secured with a jade hairpin. A butterfly-designed mask covered his face, leaving only his faint red lips and clear black eyes exposed. His body was completely soaked in the water full of herbs, revealing only his shoulders. His skin was soft and smooth, but this fact did not diminish his masculinity. His toned physique added nobility to his figure of perfect elegance. His arms rested on the edge of the tub while the water rippled around his body, along with the floating herbs. He sat casually in the tub with his legs crossed, giving off a sense of overwhelming charm. Gu Shijio did not say anything, but the servant was obviously awestruck by his charm. She stood with her cheeks flushed. "Leave now," Di Fui commanded. They was standing next to Gu Shijio at the time, giving her support. Her heart started to throb, but she refused to go out. This cannot be. I need to support Miss Gu. She is too weak to sit herself up," she emphasized. Di Fui said nothing more. This time he aimed a strike at her. He flickered a spell and a glimpse of light flashed by, carrying the servant straight out of the room. Bang! The door was shut, once again. They were the only ones in the room now. Gu Zijia's body was really weak. Without support, she could not even sit up. She collapsed and slowly sank into the water. Luckily, Di Fui saw it and acted quickly. As soon as the servant was gone, he quickly held Gu Shijio on her shoulders to help her sit upright. He made contact with her bare shoulders and could not help but feel a burning sensation. The temperature of the water was hot, but his palms felt hotter. She could feel the heat slowly entering her veins. Her pale face started to flush crimson as a result of the heat transfer. She felt more awake in the water. Bewildered, she could not help but look at Shinyenma with a mixture of admiration and frustration. She really could not understand what the child was thinking. He should have known that everything she said was to vent her rage. Instead of disregarding her words, he took them seriously and treated her like his fiancée. In order to carry out the treatment, she risked everything to ask Long Sai for his help. She could not care less about the courtesy between a man and a woman anymore. If the one who came in were Long Sai, she would be able to keep calm and cooperate with him. Instead, the one who came in was Shinyenma. Distracted? Di Fui asked. Gu Shijio looked at him with a sense of helplessness in her eyes. Nyenma, Di Fui let go of her shoulder and she started sinking again. Her shoulders, neck, chin, and lips slowly went into the water. Before her entire head was covered in water, he raised his hands to support her and keep her head afloat. He was expecting her to be scared and afraid. On the contrary, she never lost her composure. She looked at him as if he was a naughty child. "Call me Fui," he reminded her. Gu Shijio did not want to argue with him. "Fuiyu," before she could finish her sentence, he continued, "you do not have to say anything. I know what you want to tell me. Are you going to say that those were things you said out of anger? And you never really meant them and that you only see me as a child? A target of your mission?" 007 Gu Shijio blinked her eyes in despair as Di Fui continued. "Are you going to say that the steps of the triumphant recovery treatment are very complicated and that it is impossible for me to master everything in such a short time? Are you afraid that I am going to make mistakes at some point of the treatment and also tell me that your injuries are too severe to allow any misjudgment?" Gu Shijio remained quiet, for he had said everything that she wanted to say. Di Fui gave her a reassuring smile. "Don't worry. I have completely mastered the steps. I will not allow anything bad to happen to you." He was a brilliant child and a quick learner, but he never thought that he would master the steps so quickly. It seemed rather natural to him, as though he had already learned the steps ages ago. In fact, Long Sai's explanation served more like a reminder for him to recall everything at once. His eyes met Gu Zijia's eyes again. "I am not sure about other skills, but with regards to the technique of this medical treatment, I can say that I know even more than General Long." Gu Shijio certainly did not believe his arrogant words. She did not voice out her concerns, but her eyes were obviously filled with doubts. "Wait for it." Di Fui continued to annoy Gu Shijio. She was fed up with him. She would definitely splash him with water if she had the strength. She should be the one telling him to wait. However, at this very moment, she could not argue with him. He had already soaked his body in the tub next to her, and Long Sai had no other option. She heaved a sigh, surrendering to his dominance. She felt as if she had to return the favors that she owed him from his previous life, which was why the troubles kept coming back at her. "Nyenma, if you die, I will get revenge for you." Di Fui interrupted her. All Gu Shijio wanted to say was that if she died, she would no longer chase him for the mission. He did not give her a chance to finish her sentence. Her chest hurt badly. The pain was unbearable. The color on her face started to fade again while cold sweats started to break out. Di Fui supported her shoulder with one hand and with his other hand, he fed her a red pill. "Take it." The pill shone brightly. Surprisingly, the medicine was actually a tablet. It had a rather sweet scent. Gu Shijio knew of many pills but had never seen this one before. "What is this?" "A rare tablet that is good for your injuries. I have had too many in a day." She was not allowed to eat too many pills in a day, no matter how effective they were. Moreover, different medicines may lead to opposing effects. She was weak, so her body could not withstand the side effects. "Don't worry. This tablet will not clash with any other pills," Di Fui reassured her. He seemed to understand her concern, but she still refused to open her mouth. "Do you think that I am going to poison you?" He could not help but let out a sarcastic remark. She did not think about him in such a vicious way. She was only worried that he might administer her with the wrong tablet. Gu Shijio sighed. "Tell me about its properties." Gu Shijio insisted. Di Fui looked at her again. "This tablet was given to me by my father. In times of great danger, the tablet will be able to restore at least half of your strength as long as you are still alive." Gu Shijio was surprised. She had heard about the medical skills of Shinjuli, who was known as the best doctor in the continent. There was nothing he could not cure. Even when one's soul was broken, he was still able to restore his or her life. The pill from the Divine Lord must be very effective. However, he had given this to his son to keep him safe. About the tablet, how many do you have? Gu Shijio wanted to know. 1. If you give it to me now, what if you need it in the future? Don't worry. I am sure that that day will never come. Stop talking nonsense. Did it now. Di Fui was unusually confident. He put the tablet into her mouth and demanded, "Be good. Take the pill." His tone was as familiar as ever. Gu Shijio was amused and at the same time felt a bit bitter. However, she did not reject his offer this time. She ingested the tablet. The tablet smelled nice but tasted bad. Gu Zijia's face wrinkled in an ungainly fashion. She took a while to swallow it. By that time, her tongue was already numb from the bad taste. Di Fui took out another sweet and put it into her mouth. It will help soothe the taste. The sweetness finally suppressed the bad taste that lingered at the tip of on her tongue. It was the taste of her favorite sweet maple sugar. She finally felt better. She looked at him in disbelief. She had certainly not expected that he would prepare everything so thoughtfully. Perhaps it was because he was still young. Every child fancied sweets. What surprised her more was that they both shared the same tastes. Let me transfer some spiritual power to help you dissolve the tablet. Di Fui pulled her hands over and covered her palms to make the connection. He then transferred his spiritual power to put the tablet into effect. The tablet was indeed magical. Soon after she swallowed it, she could tell that the tablet was already taking effect. The pain that had been keeping her on edge finally started to fade. Gu Shijio even felt that her damaged organs were beginning to heal themselves. She was suddenly hopeful. Perhaps with the tablet, they would not have to perform the triumphant recovery treatment anymore. She was relieved of the pain and was also mentally more eased. At least she could sit properly in the tub now. She opened her eyes, only to catch Di Fui's unmoving gaze. Her heart skipped a beat. Di Fui had taken his mask off, revealing his true face. His facial features were intricately crafted, looking so surreal. His face must have been the work of God. Features like this were enough to cause an entire city to fall, which was why he had to wear his mask at all times. Otherwise, he would have to deal with many more unwanted love affairs. His face was so familiar to Gu Shijio. Somehow she had the irrational impulse of wrapping herself in his arms. Fortunately, that impulse only lasted for a brief second. Soon her logic took over. How can she shamelessly have a crush on a child? Di Fui's pitch-black eyes were looking at her beautiful face fixedly. He seemed distracted too. Their eyes met, and there was a sense of awkwardness in the air. He hesitated a little, then asked a round of insignificant questions. Has the tablet started to take effect? Are you still in pain? Do you want me to transfer more spiritual power to you? Do you still taste the bitterness on your tongue? I still have more sweets. He had been acting arrogantly since he entered the room and spoke sarcastically, but all of a sudden his attitude changed. He became so caring to her. Gu Shijio did not know how to react to this change. Why did the child change his mind? Her hesitation reminded Di Fui that he might have been a little overwhelming. Suddenly, he moved his body closer to hers and gave her a smile. Are you attracted by my beauty? Are you touched? His smile did not seem entirely innocent. He was teasing her. Because they were so close, she could feel his warm breaths on her face. Gu Shijio was rather confused at this time. Gu Shijio pushed his face back and said, Your face is indeed a work of art. I feel like I have lost myself in your overwhelming beauty. However, you are young. It is not an appropriate time to flirt. Early maturity does no good to you. Di Fui was utterly surprised. He was distracted by Gu Zijia's appearance, mostly because he somehow felt that her face seemed familiar. He noticed that his heartbeat was irregular every time he looked at her. It was as though he had admired her beauty many years ago. The greater surprise was that he could feel an involuntary erection while getting caught in her beauty. Having dedicated his entire life to growth and practice, Di Fui had never felt the urge in this sort of sexual need. He almost forgot that he actually needed it. He did not expect that such a mysterious woman would give him this sort of reaction. He had traveled the world and encountered female celestial beings who would try to seduce him. Some were brave and open. They had even stripped themselves naked to show off their bare bodies in front of him. However, it gave him no response. Instead, he was disgusted. Before the women could get closer, he had already pushed them far away. These sexy women could not even get him interested. Although Gu Shijio was naked, most of her body was submerged in the water. Furthermore, there was a layer of floating herbs on the surface, so he could not see the rest of her body. She cared about her decency, so she only revealed her shoulders and a small part of her chest above the water. Logically, this restricted view should not be able to excite him. However, it had already happened twice. When their eyes met, he had to bring up a conversation to cover his awkwardness. Fortunately, her response did not make him feel so awkward anymore. The woman must be thinking that he was still a child. He smiled at her and put his arm on her shoulder. Young? Are you sure? Baffled, Gu Shijio was anxious when he made skin contact. She could feel the warmth of his skin. In fact, it was rather hot now. Her eyes darkened when she looked at him. Like an attraction, she felt as though she was pulled closer and closer into his eyes. The child always liked to act like an adult to prevent others from thinking that he was still young. Smartly, Gu Shijio chose not to trigger him anymore. She had to prevent him from rebelling. Moreover, their conversation in the wooden tubs was rather strange. Things would easily go astray. She coughed. Fui, thank you for the tablet. I am feeling much better now. There is no need to perform the triumphant recovery treatment anymore. I would suggest that you leave the room. She felt that she should get dressed. Obviously, she wanted to change the topic. Di Fui thought about it and knew that it was not the right time to argue with her. He studied her expressions and placed his fingers on her wrist to read her pulse. A few moments later, he had to be honest with her. The tablet can only stop the condition of your organs from worsening. We still need to use spiritual power to fix your wounds. You should try to utilize your spiritual power. Gu Shijio tried to use her spiritual power, only to realize that her veins were still blocked. The pain was overwhelming. Since you are so experienced in the field of medicine, I think you can conquer the world even without Master Fengxing's help. Thank you for the compliment, Di Fui answered with a smile. Are you more comfortable with me now? Shall we begin? Gu Shijio closed her eyes in approval. Yes, please. She raised her palms, giving him a sign that she trusted him. Dumbstruck, Di Fui smiled. He raised his palms to make a connection with her. You have to try to have faith in me. It will be good for your recovery. I believe in you. Gu Shijio did not hesitate this time. The best result could only be achieved when both the healer and patient trusted each other. At the beginning of the treatment, Gu Shijio was a little bit uneasy. She was a little bit cautious when she was working with his spiritual power. She was holding back in case he made a mistake so that she could have time to correct the errors. However, when they completed a quarter of the treatment, she was utterly relieved. Di Fui was entirely on point. His movements were more flawless than Gu Zijia's. He was indeed a crazily smart child. Gu Shijio silently sighed in her heart. Finally, she could let go of all her worries and fully cooperate with him. There were many bubbles in the tubs where two of them sat in, and the potion was spinning around them. Meanwhile, the medicine slowly seeped into her blood through her skin. Her damaged organs were slowly starting to reform again. It was already in the afternoon, and Long Sai was standing in the courtyard. He had almost become a fossil waiting for the two of them to emerge from his residence. He knew that the healing process would take at least 8 hours. Anything could happen in these 8 hours. If Di Fui missed a step or made a mistake, he would go in and rescue Gu Shijio. Hence, he waited here. He used to think that Gu Zijia would absolutely refuse to let Di Fui heal her due to her generally precautious nature. Long Sai had an agreement with Di Fui earlier that if Gu Shijio strongly opposed him to carry out the treatment, then Di Fui would need to leave and allow Long Sai to take over. Therefore, Long Sai waited eagerly outside for an hour, but there was no such occurrence. Although the soundproofing in the room was good, Long Sai was a highly skilled man. If he really paid attention, He could even hear a silent yawn from the inside. Gu Shijio was indeed quite uneasy with Di Fui, but she did not reject him. After talking for a while, she had let Di Fui heal her. This made Long Sai feel a little bit disappointed. He felt as if she had somehow treated the son of the Divine Lord and Great Devil differently. He looked down at his hand and sighed softly. He was also a genius and a hard-working individual. However, he was still not able to catch up with a 6-year-old child. There was indeed a big gap. His servant served him a cup of tea. Long Sai picked up the cup and looked at her. The servant was the maid who helped Gu Shijio change. After she was thrown out, although it was a bit embarrassing, she did not leave. She used various reasons to come back. At that moment, the servant's gaze fell on the door of the room. "Do you like that man?" Long Sai asked unexpectedly. The servant was stunned. She immediately kneeled, and her face was flushed. "No. No need to lie in front of me. You can tell me the truth. You have come and gone 6 times now. Do you think I can't see what's in your mind?" The servant was stunned for a moment and finally admitted, "The young man is really attractive. I know that I am wrong." She was starstruck by the man. Long Sai's gloomy eyes fell on her. He slowly said, "What if I tell you that he is just a 6-year-old boy?" The servant was stunned. Her mouth was ajar, but she could not say anything. Long Sai calmly looked at her. "So, would you still like him? Would you be willing to be his servant? Or even marry him?" The servant snorted. "No." She was really fascinated by the young man, but she did not intend to be with a kid. She was an ordinary girl, not a pedophile. Nonetheless, this young man seemed to be an adult. How could he just be 6 years old? Long Sai faintly said, "Maybe he deliberately transformed to look like an adult. I am not sure of his true appearance. Perhaps he is just too eager to grow up." Long Sai stared at her for a while before he smirked. "So, what is your plan of action? Are you going to give up?" The servant said, "General, you must be kidding. Regardless of whether this young man is an adult or a child, I have no other thoughts about him." Long Sai seemed to be somewhat satisfied. "It is good to know." He then waved his hand to dismiss her. "Go back now. Do not tell anyone about today's matter. If you divulge a sentence, I will definitely punish you." The servant promised, turned, and left. She did not come back again. Long Sai's mood was a lot better. He sat down at a stone table and waited patiently. Inside the room, Di Fui finally completed the healing process. He looked at Gu Zijia's pretty face and asked, "How do you feel?" Gu Shijio opened her eyes and took a breath. "A lot better." Her pretty face was terribly pale before, but now there was a faint blush on her cheek. With her watery eyes, she looked back at him. "Fui, thank you." She was too weak to sit in the barrel before, but now she finally had some strength and could slowly use her spiritual power. Di Fui smiled. "You don't have to be so polite with me. I wouldn't have saved you without a request." Gu Shijio was stunned. "What is it that you want? Just say it out." As long as it was within her ability, she would fulfill any request from him. Di Fui looked at her and spoke, "Are you planning to talk to me while you are still in the water? Then perhaps you should leave first, we will talk later." She had been soaked in this potion for the whole day. She felt like she was going to wrinkle. This treatment took a full 6 hours, and her legs were numb under the water. At this point, she desperately wanted to sleep. Since she was quite tired as a patient, she could imagine how exhausted Di Fui was as the healer. Gu Shijio looked at his slightly pale face and was not at ease. "Are you too tired? You can ask General Long to send a few servants to come and carry you out." "No, I don't want outsiders to see me like this." After the Di Fui finished talking, he controlled the wooden barrel and moved out of the quiet room. The door closed again, leaving Gu Shijio alone. A moment later, a servant took another bucket of clean water into the room and so that Gu Shijio could take a bath. Gu Shijio was still a bit weak. She was sweating profusely despite taking a shower. She then sat on the bed and waited for Di Fui to come in and raise his demand with her. Unexpectedly, Long Sai came in instead. He carefully observed her and was relieved. Shijio, your appearance looks a lot better now. He raised his hand and checked her pulse. His tone was more relaxed now. Your pulse is also a lot stronger. Gu Shijio had already checked her own pulse just now, so she naturally knew her condition. Nevertheless, she smiled in acknowledgement of his care. Chapter 2012. He came to settle the account. I have received a second chance at life. Gu Shijio said to Long Sai to lighten the mood. She then looked at Long Sai's slightly reddened eyes and remarked, "Did you not sleep at all?" It was already the next evening since Gu Shijio came to Long Sai's residence. Long Sai smiled and did not answer her question. Instead he asked, "Shijio, are you hungry? I have prepared porridge that is easy to digest. Do you want to swallow a few mouthfuls?" Gu Shijio shook her head. Although she had not been eating for nearly a day, she did not have the appetite yet. She only felt tired now and wanted to take a rest. "Where is he?" Gu Shijio asked bluntly. Long Sai was slightly stunned by her question. He said, "He went out to get the cure for you. If you want to recover completely, you must have the cure from spiritual master Shanjing." Gu Shijio was startled. She quickly said, "Why is it so urgent? He just utilized a lot of spiritual power. What he needs is rest. Moreover, it is quite a distance from here to Fengyun Valley." Long Sai was visibly upset. This is what he promised before, and you can't delay your healing. You can only recover as soon as you get the cure. Gu Shijio frowned. Long Sai's residence was 1,000 miles away from the Fengyun Valley. Di Fui had to travel back and forth in such an exhausted state. This kid was really sincere. If she did not agree with his demand, he would be wasting his effort. Furthermore, this trip to ask for the cure would not be easy. After all, she almost shattered the most important body part of spiritual master Shanjing. Suddenly, Gu Shijio thought of something and asked, "How long ago did he leave? I can actually give him some bargain chips." She took out a peach-colored snake from her storage space and extracted some snake poison out. She then put it in a small bottle and handed it to Long Sai. "Instructor Long, I need to trouble you to send someone to pass him this bottle." Long Sai was confused. "What is this?" Gu Shijio waved her hand to dismiss his question. "I will explain it to you later. He will understand once he sees it." Long Sai took the bottle of snake poison and left. Spiritual Master Shanjing was still in the Fengyun Valley. Normally he would leave early. However, this time he could not. His balls were so badly hurt that he could hardly walk. Hence, he had to stay back to treat his wounds. Fortunately, Master Fengxing was a credible doctor, and he was very good at treating this sort of injury. Nonetheless, it was still a bit awkward. This body part of the body was private, and it was improper to be shown to an outsider. Therefore, he only consumed medication orally. Sadly, that slowed down his recovery. Suffering this type of pain for a prolonged period gave him many opportunities to curse Gu Shijio. He felt guilty for having killed her because of that matter. At the same time, Shen Yanma wanted to break up with his 10 masters because of this girl. If he found her corpse, he was not sure what Shen Yanma would do to him. All of a sudden, a few disciples flew in and reported, "Master, Shen Yanma has returned." Spiritual Master Shanjing's face turned pale and serious. What should he do now? The girl must have died, and he is here to settle the account. The return of Shen Yanma caused a sensation in the Fengyun Valley. The 4 masters who remained, along with their disciples, were all alarmed. Therefore, when Di Fui entered, he was immediately surrounded. Spiritual Master Shanjing looked at him like a traitor. "Yanma, why are you back?" Chapter 2013. What kind of trade do you want to talk about? In his heart, Master Fengxing hoped that Shen Yanma was here to ask for forgiveness. Di Fui wore a mask on his face so they could not tell his facial expression clearly. However, his light pink lips slightly smirked. "Master Fengxing, I am not looking for you." Master Fengxing was speechless. Apparently, Di Fui did not recognize him as his teacher. Furiously, Master Fengxing questioned, Why are you here then? Di Fui was very straightforward. I want to make a trade. Master Fengxing grew even angrier. What kind of trade? Do you want to trade masters? Nianma, nobody in the world would bargain with their master for a trade. Others from the crowd had also voiced their opinions. Di Fui was rather calm and cold. It is only spiritual master Yu Hang who has actually taught me any skills among all of you. The crowd remained silent. He was right. Spiritual master Yu Hang was proud, but just when he was about to talk, he was interrupted by Di Fui. I have learned 4 skills from spiritual master Yu Hang, and I have completely improved the 4 skills by correcting the loopholes to make it even better. Spiritual master Yu Hang, am I right? Spiritual master Yu Hang could not deny it. After Shenyan Ma improved the 4 skills, his power was doubled. Moreover, he did not hide it but taught the 4 improved methods to the other disciples, so that his younger apprentice brothers and sisters could practice better. The original techniques needed to take a year to master. After his added improvements, they could be learned in 2 months. Nianma, you have merits to the apprenticeship. Spiritual master Yu Hang sighed in agreement. Is my merit worth you teaching me the 4 skills? Spiritual master Yu Hang was stunned and said, of course. In fact, he still earned to have Shenyan Ma as his disciple, because it made his name even more famous. Therefore, I don't owe you anything. I have already stated openly that I won't join your apprenticeship anymore. Why can't I discuss a trade deal? Everyone was stunned with Di Fui's reply. What trade do you want to talk about? Spiritual master Yu Hang could not help but ask. Di Fui stretched out of his palm, and a small bottle shone under the sunlight. This is the poison from the peach snake. I want to trade it for the cure for the golden splitting spell from spiritual master Shanjing. Everyone remained silent. Spiritual master Shanjing blurted, is the evil girl still alive? When he mentioned the evil girl, his balls suddenly hurt. Di Fui's gaze fell on his face. She is the person I value the most. Please respect her. Spiritual master Shanjing was speechless. This evil girl used an immoral attack. Di Fui frowned. Apparently, Gu Shijio did not tell him about the fact she kicked spiritual master Shanjing's balls. Thus he was puzzled by this statement. He looked at spiritual master Shanjing once again to try to understand. Di Fui was a skilled medical practitioner. Therefore, he noticed that the standing posture of spiritual master Shanjing was not right. It seemed like he got kicked in an important part of his body. Di Fui silently sighed in his heart. No wonder Gu Shijio did not put much hope in asking for the cure. Was she so fierce? How did she even kick this part? Di Fui paused for a while. He then threw a bottle over to spiritual master Shanjing. Soak in the water with this medicine. It can heal your injury in 3 days. Spiritual master Shanjing's face was red, but he still held the bottle in his hand. He knew that most of the medicines from Di Fui were secret medicines from the Divine Lord, and they were all very effective. Chapter 2014. Eldest brother apprentice did not want her anymore. In the end, spiritual master Shanjing gave the golden splitting spell cure to Di Fui. The main reason was that the elixir given by Di Fui was beneficial. When he soaked in it, the pain was lightened significantly. Secondly, Qing Luo never really managed to recover from the snake's poison. Although her life was saved, her whole body still felt uncomfortable. Every day she would cry and scream. It actually disturbed all the people in the valley. Even spiritual master Shanjing could not sleep well due to her screams. However, there was nothing that he could do to fix the problem. Since Di Fui came to make a deal that involved the peach snake venom, they finally treat Qing Luo properly, and spiritual master Shanjing could have some peace and rest. When Di Fui got the cure, he was about to leave. However, spiritual master Yu Hang could not help but stop him and ask, you grew up together with Qing Luo, and she is your young sister apprentice. She has always admired and respected you, and you used to be very good to her. If spiritual master Shanjing did not make the trade with you, would you really see your younger sister apprentice suffer to death? Di Fui stopped, and his eyes fell on spiritual master Yu Hang. He faintly said, the day when Qing Luo was poisoned, her life was in danger. The person who saved her in time was the evil girl you have been cursing. Qin Luo has always been arrogant to her, but the evil girl was not calculative. To find the peach snake, she risked her life. She saved Qin Luo and Si Qing, and the grace of saving lives is worth every repayment. However, what had Qin Luo done? Not only did she not repay her, but she also maliciously hurt and humiliated the individual who saved her life. I despise such characters. I don't have such a sister. I was really good to her before, but now I know that I am blind. This kind of sister is not worth saving. If Spiritual Master Shanjing did not make a trade with me, I would rather break this cure than give it to Qin Luo because she is not worth it. It was rare for Di Fui to say so many words. Spiritual Master Yu Hang was startled and could only see Di Fui stride away. Obviously, Di Fui was criticizing Qin Luo, but somehow Spiritual Master Yu Hang felt embarrassed. He stood there in contemplation when suddenly he heard some movements behind him. He turned his head and saw Qin Luo's pale face. Her problem had been solved, and the suffering pain that she had to endure for the past few days had disappeared. Nonetheless, as the cure came at a very late time, her skills were basically abolished. She naturally heard that it was her eldest brother apprentice that brought her the cure. Therefore, once her poison was cured, she disregarded her physical weakness and ran to see him, but only heard the last words Di Fui uttered about her. She was badly attacked and stood there with a pale face. Her knees were weak as she struggled to stand properly. It turned out that her eldest brother apprentice was here to make a trade that would benefit the evil woman. It turned out that her eldest brother apprentice would rather smash the vial of medicine than give it to her. Her eldest brother apprentice did not want her anymore. Naturally, Spiritual Master Yu Hang saw Qin Luo's mouth twitch a few times as she cried. She was very sad. Spiritual Master Yu Hang had nowhere to vent his anger, so he decided to take it out on her. Do you still dare to cry? If you didn't gossip about her in the first place, we would not have suffered all these losses. Spiritual Master Yu Hang usually pampered Qin Luo a lot. After all, he only had a few female disciples. Qin Luo was very smart and knew how to make Spiritual Master Yu Hang happy, so he always favored her a lot. But the recent behavior of this female disciple did make him rather disgusted. This was the first time he had been so direct and blunt to Qin Luo, and out of shock, she held back her tears. Chapter 2015. Qin Luo mumbled, "Master, it's not that I don't know how to be grateful, the evil girl is really suspicious. I don't know how old she is, but she always wants to steal eldest brother apprentice. Master, where did this evil woman come from? I can see that her martial arts skills are crazily good. Eldest brother apprentice has been fascinated by her, and I am afraid that she will do something unfavorable to him in the future." Shut up. No matter what you think, she has saved your life. Qin Luo, you have really disappointed me. Starting from today, you will need to go back to Mount Wujie and do your reflection in Cliff Sigua. Come back after 10 years. Qin Luo's face turned pale. She kneeled and begged, "Master, go away. If you say one more word, you will be punished for 20 years. Qin Luo left silently in disappointment. Spiritual Master Yu Hang rubbed his eyebrows in frustration. For the sake of protecting Shenyan Ma, he had done some investigation into Gu Shijiao, but the information was minimal. He only knew that she was from the lower bound and did not like to make friends with anyone in the upper bound. People have known about her for hundreds of years. Spiritual Master Yu Hang was still skeptical about the fact that she came from the lower bound because her skills were crazily good. He also knew a lot of the strongest people from the lower bound who ascended to the upper bound. These people were basically at the primary level of the mighty immortals after they ascended. Only a few could reach the second level of the mighty immortals, which was considered to be very rare. However, the martial arts Gu Shijiao possessed could only be described as unfathomable. They had 10 masters encircle her, but she could still escape and even hurt a few of them. Based on his estimations, she would have reached level 9 of a mighty immortal. It was just a matter of time to reach the level of great deity. How could the lower bound have such a master? Why had she not ascended? Had she been practicing in the lower bound that had very limited spiritual power? Even if someone practiced in the most potent places in the upper bound, it would take thousands of years to reach her level. The only possibility was that she was someone with the bloodline of a god. However, it seemed a very unlikely possibility. The Devil Master, Ning Xuema, was said to have practiced for thousands of years before she cultivated to the level of a great deity. Therefore, Gu Shijio must be at least a few thousand years old, or possibly even 10,000 years old. This person was so mysterious, therefore he was afraid that the intentions behind her were not that simple. She had been wandering around Shinyanma for some time now. What was her purpose in the end? If she was the remaining member of the enemy of the Divine Lord, Luo Jiuchen, then her intention to approach Nyanma must be evil. Spiritual Master Yuhang was so conflicted by the matter. When the Divine Lord and his wife left, they said that they would let their kid learn from the 10 masters. In fact, they entrusted the 10 masters to look after their kid. They were afraid that the remainder of Luo Jishin's clan would be out to harm the kid. Due to Shin Nyanma's fascination with the evil girl, things became more difficult for them since he did not want to recognize them as his master. If anything happened to Shin Nyanma in the future, how could they explain it to his parents? Spiritual Master Yuhang simply could not let it go. He gathered all the other masters who were still in the valley to discuss the matter and put his concerns into consideration. The others seemed to nod rather frequently at his remarks. Spiritual Master Shanjing was the only one who was still angry. We have been worrying about him, but he is fascinated by the evil girl and does not appreciate our help. He only thinks of protecting that evil girl. Master Fengxing sighed. Nyanma is only a 6-year-old child. He has very little social experience. That woman is an experienced master with a rich history. Moreover, she has an enchanting appearance. Chapter 2016, Anma is attracted to her. It is okay for him not to recognize us as his master, but he is the son of the Divine Lord, and the Divine Lord has great grace with us. We can't watch him go astray, or else how can we explain the situation to the Divine Lord when he returns? There was no objection after this sentence was said. Spiritual Master Shanjing clapped his hands. If I knew this earlier, we should not have given him the cure to save the evil girl. My golden splitting spell had hit the evil girl. Without the cure, she would definitely die. How good is it if we settled her this way? Spiritual Master Yuhang shook his head. With Nianmo's temperament, there is nothing he can't get. Since he came for the cure, even if we don't trade it with him, he will get it by other means. We could strain our relationship with him as well if we are not careful. Master Fengxing sighed. This woman is awful. When the Divine Lord and Devil Master were on the continent, she never disturbed little Nyanma. In fact, she disappeared right after giving him his birthday present. But now that the couple is not around, she has started making her advances. If only they could return now. Perhaps all our troubles will be resolved. These masters talked for a long time here. There were a lot of complaints at first, but then they finally started to discuss the next steps. Everyone agreed that it's a rebellious period for Shinyanma. The more they restrict him, the more he would rebel. Therefore, instead of limiting him, it would be better to let him have his freedom. Everyone would secretly pay attention to the evil woman's movements. If the woman really had some evil intention, she would eventually be exposed. Once they catch her doing something wrong, the kid will wake up. The most important thing to remember was that Shin Nyanma was the son of the Divine Lord. He would naturally mature early and start to be interested in the opposite sex. In the past, they only paid attention to his practice and never considered the emotional aspects of his development. Since he was already mature, they would try to place a few beautiful women around him. When there were more girls around him, he might shift his attention and no longer be interested in that old woman. Soon after, everyone started to discuss what kind of ladies to put around Shin Nyanma. The sun was just right, and the spring breeze was warm enough. Gu Shijio, who was called an evil old lady, was now sitting in a rocking chair and enjoying the heat. The mussel, which had its shell open, was sleeping beside her with saliva all over its mouth while Lu Wu was catching mosquitoes in the garden. The mosquitoes here were of the highest standards. They were fast and naturally more challenging to catch. They could even do camouflage themselves in the trees or flowers where they landed. Lu Wu spent time catching them out of boredom. Nonetheless, it also helped it improved its flexibility. It was not like the mussel, which was lazy and only slept and ate. The mussel had gained a few pounds after it came to this continent. Its shell would soon become a dwelling. Lu Wu looked at Gu Shijio. She was now out of danger, but apparently she still did not have much strength. She had been quite lazy and ate significantly less than before. Lu Wu initially thought that the reason why its owner ate less was because Long Sai was stingy. But clearly, it was mistaken. These meals in the upper bound were very delicious. Most of them were medicated diets, which could enhance the spiritual power of its consumer. After Lu Wu and the mussel came to this continent, they had eaten a lot of food. They were satisfied with the taste, and at the same time, it had helped to enhance their spiritual power. Lu Wu could easily tell dozens of tasty and beneficial food apart now. Meanwhile, the mussel could probably distinguish between more than 100 dishes. Chapter 2017. Long Sai was a general of the upper bound, and the Emperor Immortal highly valued him. He was very wealthy due to his position. Therefore, his kitchen was supposed to be full of all kinds of nutritious food. Since Lu Wu's owner was injured, she should be consuming a lot more supplements and nutritious food. Long Sai, as the friend and host of its master, should serve her at least a dozen nice and tasty meals. However, what was served every day were plain rice, veggies, and radish. There was no taste and no nutrition in these dishes. How could its owner swallow them down? Both the mussel and Lu Wu were somewhat disappointed for their master. However, if they complained to their master, even if their master did not speak out, she would definitely feel sad. That was not good for her recovery. Therefore, Mussel and Lu Wu had been holding back their emotions. Their owner was frail for the past few days. She often fell asleep under the sun while trying to restore her energy. Long Sai came back to see her like this and wanted to take her back to the house. However, the mussel did not allow him to do so. It felt that Long Sai was very suspicious and had the intention to starve its master until she fainted so that he could take advantage of its beautiful master. The mussel would drag Gu Shijio into its shell and then send her to the bed in the house. It would not let Long Sai get close to its master. Both the mussel and Lu Wu were fierce. Long Sai always felt that they were hostile toward him. They always treated him like a thief. He naturally did not bother them. After all, these were just the favorite pets Gu Shijio had, and she usually pampered them a lot. Therefore, he could only get close to Gu Shijio when she was awake. He would often chat with her and also check on her injuries. She did improve, but the speed of recovery was very slow. She could barely get dressed on her own, and walking a small round in the yard made her sweat profusely. 3 days had passed, and Gu Shijio could now carry herself to the garden. She spent more time awake than resting, and no longer fell asleep halfway when she talked. It was now near to noon, so the servant sent another meal and placed it on the stone table in front of Gu Shijio. The mussel was awake after it smelled the rice. It stretched its neck to the stone table and felt angry again. The dishes were green vegetables and radish with white rice again. This overlord Long seemed to be feeding a rabbit. Gu Shijio woke up and slowly ate the meal. She then strolled a small circle along the bluestone path in the garden. The mussel and Lu Wu both watched her carefully. When they saw that she did not sweat after her usual lap, they felt somewhat relieved. Gu Shijio continued to lie on the rocking chair and slept again after her usual routine stroll. Sleeping could speed up her recovery and help her maintain her strength. The mussel and Lu Wu looked at each other and exchanged their thoughts without speaking. They decided to be self-reliant and worked hard to solve the meal problem for their master. The mussel went to hunting while Lu Wu waited here to look after her. Although the mussel was lazy, it was determined to be diligent this time to bring back excellent food for its owner. Therefore, it acted quickly and ran. It used to see a wild deer at Yaori Hill in the 6th level of heaven. It wanted to hunt one for its owner to help strengthen her body. Recently, the Saha world was not in a peaceful state. Although the case of the missing children had been solved, the culprit was never found. The Emperor Immortal had sent a lot of soldiers and animals to go out and find the accused. However, he had not received any news. There were also disappearances in other places, but this time it was fairy beasts that had disappeared. A number of fairy beasts were inexplicably missing. It was essential to know that the beasts in this Saha world were very important. They were creatures that helped in battle and chauffeured the people. Occasionally they would be majestic pets as well, which served as a statement of status to their owner. The sudden disappearance of the beasts caused heartbreak for their owners. Every day, they would cry in the Golden Temple and beg the Emperor Immortal to send people to look for their pets. Over the past 2 days, the Emperor Immortal had discussed with the officers about the details. Long Sai was the right arm of the Emperor, so naturally he could not be absent. He could not even take leave at this moment. He often spent his entire day in the Hall of Supreme Harmony. Today was the first time that his meetings ended earlier. The red sun on the horizon was still visible. When he returned to his house, he did not even change his clothes but went straight to look for Gu Shijio. His servant told him that she was still in the garden, so he rushed there. He saw her lying on the rocking chair and went closer. It was rare that she was still awake, and she was bored while playing with the willow branches. The evening wind blew her hair, and her beauty was suffocating. Long Sai leaned on a big stone and looked at her for a moment. Then he walked over. "Shijio, you look much better today." He walked forward to check her pulse, as per his regular routine. Her pulse was much better than before. His eyes fell on her hands that were knitting something. She was knitting a swan, and it looked very lively. A sudden familiarity had struck him. A sentence then appeared in his mind. How can a sparrow know the passion of a swan? Instructor Long, you are a swan. You will be successful in the future. I want to give you this as a gift. His eyes slightly widened. He had a feeling that this occurred in his past life with her. Unfortunately, she had never mentioned anything related to the past to him. She never even mentioned anything about the lower bound to Long Sai. Whenever he asked, she always smiled and told him that as he was now living a new life, he should start every new and not hold on to the past. If Gu Shijio did not want to say something, she would never tell no matter how much he asked. Therefore, Long Sai did not pester her. However, he knew that there must have been something between them. He also knew that she was the lord in lower bound, and he was her subordinate. "Shijio, can I have this?" he asked her. Gu Shijio was a generous person, so she handed it to him. "Well, you are like a swan, and it is your time to make great achievements. It is a good sign to give you this gift." Long Sai looked at the knitted swan for a moment, then kept it carefully. He chatted with her again and talked about the recent disappearance of fairy beasts. He was afraid that she was tired, so he did not tell in too much detail. Gu Shijio did not show any concern about the fair beasts. Instead, she asked, "Is there any news about Nianmo?" Long Sai was slightly bitter. After Di Fui left, Gu Shijio asked about him almost every day. Apparently, she was worried about that kid. Long Sai sighed. "Shijio, you can rest assured. Those people are his masters, and they will not be unfavorable to him in any way. He will not be in danger. Besides, the Fengyun Valley is far away from here. It will take at least 5 to 6 days for him to go back and forth, excluding the time spent on getting the cure. It's only been about 3 days, he can't come back so quickly." Long Sai preferred not to talk about that child. He looked at Gu Shijio and spoke, "Shijio, I think you can eat some meat today." Gu Shijio sighed with relief. "I want to eat fish." These days, she had been eating the greens and radishes every day. She was rather sick of it now. However, her injury required her to eat light and as little as possible, so she had been eating porridge every day. Long Sai was excited. "All right, I am going fishing." He was very good at fishing and soon he fished a few sea bases out of the pond. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.